Hey, good day. I believe you guys are good and everything is okay on your side. Well, I'm not going to take a lot of time today. I just want to remind you of a few seminars that I'll be holding in the coming weeks. Make sure that you check out my Facebook page on the events section, and you'll be able to see some of the stuff that we have. But also, while you're watching this, you can press at the bottom here that subscribe button. It will allow you, when we post anything, that you get to see. You get a notification on that, and then you'll be able to get the videos that I would post. So today, what I want to talk about, okay, it's something that I thought a little bit about, and I thought, let me take a different approach to it, as opposed to what I normally do, where I give an opinion or an advice on something. But for this one in particular, I decided I'm going to rather challenge your mind, okay? Challenge your mind by asking a couple of questions, hoping that those questions will help you to trigger out, your standpoint on the issue and the subject matter. So the topic that I want to talk about is it good for you to keep things inside for the sake of peace? So I'm sure you've heard that, or you've done it before, where you're saying, you know what? For the sake of peace, I'm going to let it go. So the question is it a good thing or a bad thing? Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, or it's both, all right? I'm sure it depends on the situation, a lot of things, motives, intentions, and the environment that you are in, and what your objective basically of it. So there's few questions that I want you to really think about, and I'm just going to answer those questions, probably give an input on one or two things, and then wrap this thing up, okay? So the first question that I want you to keep in mind, or to ask yourself, when you're letting things go for the sake of peace, because the fact that you have to let it go, it means that it's inside you. It's something that is not sitting well with you, that needs to be addressed. But for whatever reason, you choose to let it go so that you can be able to keep peace. Okay, so one of the other things is letting things go for the sake of peace a compromise? And the question is, what are you compromising? Who is being compromised? And why are you keeping quiet? Why? When you're saying for the sake of peace, yes, that is the ultimate objective, that there should be peace in the house or in the relationship. But the question is, why you feel that if you address that, there won't be peace. All right? And then the other question that I want you to think about, how much of you are you losing in the process of keeping that peace? Remember, it's something that is inside, something perhaps that is really bothering you. And maybe you're weighing options, but the fact that it's inside, it's going to take away something from you. So the question is, how much of you are you losing in the process of letting things go for the sake of peace? All right? Now, think also about this. What is at stake? Are you keeping peace now, but it's something that could haunt you at a later stage? And in other words, at what price is this peace coming at? All right? Is it something that if you let it go now, it's going to help the situation, but does it help the situation permanently? Or, for instance, your partner comes home or don't come home, all right? They leave 7 o'clock in the evening, just going to the shop to buy bread, and then they come back the following day, 11 a.m. And you think, you know what, it's the first time it's happening, I'm going to let it go for the sake of peace. Now, the question is it something are you promoting a certain behavior? Is it something that would happen again? Or you think or believe that it's a once-off thing? All right. So what is at stake in that peace that you are keeping? And then the other question is, how frequent do you keep the peace, and how often does your partner keep the peace too? Because it's one thing if you're keeping the peace and it's something that you have to do every time consistently when you are the peacemaker. But the question here is the frequency of that. And then in relation to that frequency, how often does your partner also keep the same peace? All right. So is it a one-sided thing, or both of you are keeping peace? In other words, you hardly talk because it's just all about keeping peace. And are we really keeping the peace? We'll get probably to that. And I asked the question of what is the motive behind that peace. Now, is there some sort of fear that is compelling you to keep the peace? In other words, if you were to raise the issues, is it something that could harm you in any way? You have fear, fear of being ill-treated, fear of violence, fear of any sort of fear. Do you keep the peace because you have fear? All right. It might be fear of, I know my partner will not listen to me. That statement, kafana, whether I raise it or I don't raise it, it's one and the same thing. What's the point? That kind of thing. All right. How much inside war is within you over time due to you keeping the peace? Remember, you're keeping the peace, but meaning that in you keeping the peace, you're bottling up something. So how much war within you? Because if you're bottling something, it's going to start brewing inside. It becomes cancerous. And I'm sure it's just a matter of time. At some point, one point or the other, you're going to explode. And you're going to start even maybe resenting your partner and thinking, you know what, I've compromised a lot. In fact, I've heard that a lot. Pastor X, I'm the one, when she's sulking or when he's sulking and we're not talking, I'm the one who has to break and diffuse the tension. I'm the one who will make sure I compromise for the sake of peace. Okay? So, in other words, we can assume that you're creating war, but if not, how much war is being created inside you as you keep the peace? If it's not the first time you keep this peace, how has it helped in the past? All right? Has it something that has improved the behavior? Has it helped in keeping the peace, actually? Because sometimes you can keep the peace when only to find out that your partner, yes, is in the battlefield. They're ready to war. They're ready to tear you into pieces. And when on the other hand, you're busy, you're extinguishing the fire, your partner is pouring petrol on the fire. So if it's not the first time you're keeping the peace, in the last couple of times or the past incident where you kept the peace, was the peace kept, and also how long was it kept for? Did these things eventually come out? How was they supposed to come out? Because they have to come out at some point. What are the chances that you are creating a monster and a bully in your partner by creating the peace? In other words, that I create peace and I keep saying, you know what, it's okay for the sake of peace, and your partner gets used to that. And then one day when you explode, they don't understand what's wrong with you, because this is how we do things, I mess up or I wrong you or whatever, you wrong me, and we're not going to entertain these things. We keep peace. Why today? Because people don't understand. They get used easily on such things. Is this peace achievable in any case each time you compromise? Is it something that when you say, now I'm going to keep peace, do you achieve it? If it wasn't for the sake of peace, would you address the issue? Let's say there's no threat of the peace being tampered with. Would you address the issue? All right. And then when you address the issue, say there's tempers around, okay, and you happen to raise the issue, how would your partner feel about you? Would your partner respect you any less? Would they view you any differently? Would they regard you in any light or different note because you have raised this? Okay, what do you think would happen if you were to raise your concerns and you start, talking about the issues that are not sitting well with you? All right. Now, also, when you take that peace tablet, think about it. If tables were turned around in that particular instant, would your partner, knowing them very well, would they, if they were presented with an opportunity to keep the peace, in that very same instant, would they keep the peace? Or they will just jump at any opportunity to tear you apart? All right? If you were to voice your feelings to somebody else, all right? You voice your feelings to somebody else because you had the urge to actually share what is bothering you. Say you share it with a friend, your parent, your sibling, a colleague, whoever, and your partner finds out and they hear exactly how you feel about the issue, not about them, about the issue that you would have or that you should have addressed with them, but for the sake of peace. When they hear that, how would they react? Okay, towards you, towards the issue itself. Okay, so in your previous relationship, were you able to keep peace? Or is it something that you find yourself forced to do with your current partner? So, in your previous relationships, when you have something bothering you, did you feel the urge to voice it? Why? And if it's a new thing with your partner now, why? If it's an old habit, okay, have you ever looked at yourself and say, what is it that makes me in every relationship that I'm in find myself, smoking peace pipes and so forth? Okay, here's a few things that I just want to highlight, and then I will leave you guys quickly. One, the fact that you need to keep peace, it means there is turmoil in the house. It means that things are not okay. You are on a rocky ground and touches move. If I move this and then it can explode anytime. So you have to keep the peace. Keeping the peace shouldn't come at a price of an internal war. You shouldn't have that internal battle for the sake of keeping the peace. Keeping the peace means I have to reduce myself from myself, who I am, because I want to express myself, but for the sake of peace, I need to now reduce myself so that I can be able to accommodate the peace that I want. It shouldn't be like that. And keeping the peace means we are not matured enough to engage in and accepting our individualism. I'm feeling that my partner will not accept me for who I am. But for me, it's not about keeping the peace. It's not about it being good or bad. I'm more concerned about the root cause that would make you feel the need to keep the peace. All right? Meaning that there are underlying issues in this relationship that will force you, meaning that, in other words, it could be the issue that there is no communication. It could be the issue that there is no respect. It could be the issue that there is no valuing each other. It could be the issue that we can't be ourselves. I need to be somebody that my partner wants me to be. Now, I want you to think about these questions and find where you fit in. Probably how you answer yourself honestly would be able to free you to understand the circumstances and the dynamics of your relationship. I'm going to leave it at that. It's me, Pastor X. Make sure to follow me on Facebook, Marriage Affairs with Pastor X, and also Instagram, the same handle. But you can also get my books through my WhatsApp line 08333173550. And you can also attend any of our seminars or book for a one-on-one session. It can either be face-to-face or we can do it telephonically and be able to address any issues that you might have. Love you all, and until we talk again next time, stay blessed and have a wonderful time.